Alright everybody, we're going to try out something a little different here and get you some race commentary. We opted to hang back here on the start just to kind of avoid some of the turn 1 shenanigans. We were gridded up in the 8th. We're going to get over to the dirt right away, try to get that traction down. There was 4 other trucks that kind of held back at the start, so that puts us up in the 6th. Coming in at turn 2, we're going to hang back just a little bit. We got a really good separation off of the back end. So we're just going to kind of let these guys up front settle into a groove. The 10 goes kind of wide there. Not quite sure what he's doing. Almost wipes us out coming back onto the track. We're going to just kind of hang back, wait for our opportunities. Don't want to push anybody too hard here. We just crossed the start-finish line for the first time. So now we're on our first lap counter. Our intervals aren't going to work until we cross the start-finish line again, just because it's still registering the start as part of the first lap. Coming in a cowboy corner for the first time, we're just going to kind of feel it out, see how these guys are going to run. Had a little bit of contact with the 10 there. It didn't look like it on camera, but with iRacing you get a little net code. We can't see it here. He got into the blue wall a little bit, so that's going to scrub just enough speed to where we can come around him on that inside line coming into turn 3 here. Now that'll allow us to start making a run at the top 4. Really shut down that inside line coming into the last corner to the start finish on the number 10. That allowed us to carry some speed. We're starting to put a gap on those 2 trucks back there. A little bit of foreshadowing. We're going to enjoy the peace and quiet while we have it, because these next couple laps are going to get a little hairy. Nice in-cab view as we're coming around turn 1. Made a pretty good run up on the top 4 guys here. Not a whole lot for separation between us. We're going to cut hard to that inside. Josh gets into the wall. Keep an eye on Josh. He is going to be the cause of some chaos here in these next few laps. He is going to run Zach really hard coming into these next couple of corners. Zach was forced out wide there by the hit put on him by Josh. Going wide in that corner can really scrub some speed. Josh is going to come in here for an attack, try to take him on the inside. He's going to almost get him. Zach's going to be able to carry a lot of speed coming out of that corner, though, and stay in 3rd place. At this point, I'm watching what's going on in front of me and just kind of hanging back, waiting for these 2 to either take each other out or make a mistake. There's a little bit of a mistake on Josh's end. He runs that jump just a little bit hard, takes a really bad bounce, but he's still able to stick with Zach. As we come into the corner here, I had to check up really hard for Josh to avoid hitting him. I'm trying to run these guys as clean as possible. I hate when guys are trying to scrub speed off of you. Josh comes wide in the final turn here, ends up getting into the wall. He's going to shoot to the inside of us here. and just start banging door with us. He's going to wear us like a pair of dress shoes through these next couple corners. We're going to get in front of him here. We're going to put a little bit of a gap on him, about half a truck to a truck length. But you'll see coming into this corner, he's going to get into us and he's going to push us way outside on this corner. Force us off our line. That's going to allow him to move back up in front of us and challenge Zach. He and Zach get into it coming off of that jump there a little bit, but Josh and I are about side by side here. He ends up checking me in the back there, and I hung up on his front bumper. Ended up causing this whole bit of chaos. He got into Zach, didn't even lift on the throttle. He's going to be off track here to our left. You can see him coming out behind me there. That also allowed the 10 to get back in front of us. So we're going to have to put in some work getting back around him so that we can run down the rest of the pack. Came back in a little tight there. We made some contact going over that jump, but we were both able to hold on to it. He tries slamming the door on us on an inside line and running hard out. Just about puts us into the pole at the start-finish line. But we're going to have the inside line through this corner, and that's going to allow for us to be able to take an advantage on him and cut the corner here, shutting the door on him. We got nothing but open track in front of us, about 5 seconds between 4th place and us. So we're going to have to do some driving to try to catch back up here. About halfway through the race, halfway through lap 5, the midpoint of the race. So we've got plenty of time to make the run. It's just a question of whether or not we can do it. Consistency is going to be the key factor in that. If we can avoid little mistakes, we can start chopping that time away. So if you take a look at the interval counter at the end of the ticker up there, you'll notice that it says 2.7, 3.4, 4.7. We just moved up into 4th place. It looks like Zach had to pull off the track. He is in the pits. I'm not sure what happened there, but we're going to take the position jump. But anyway, like I was saying about that ticker, if you look at the intervals, that tells you the interval in between each truck. So if you total up the time between me and David, that will give you our total time off of the leader. We're looking at about 10 and a half, 11 seconds right now, with just under 4 laps to go. So it's going to be one hell of a run for us to get back up to the front. We're starting to close the door a little bit on Chad. Reeling him in. Get that gap a little bit smaller. I'm pretty much going to run by ourselves here for this lap. I think we end up catching Chad, if I remember right around the end of lap 7. Coming across the start gate now for lap 7. We're looking at about a 10-second difference in between us and first place. So we were able in a half a lap to take down about a half a second's time to a full second. Getting a good run off a Cowboy corner is always really hard. It changes so much as the track changes throughout the race. To try to hit it consistently and keep your times the same can be quite challenging. Down to about a 9-second interval right now between us and first. We're looking at about 3.5 seconds to Chad. So we're reeling them in slow but sure. Just crossed to start lap 8. We're still doing a pretty good job of reeling Chad in here. As a driver in this position, it can be kind of frustrating, especially when you have something happen like we did in this race with Josh, where it's not necessarily your fault. Another driver wants to try to take you out. Trying to run back, it's hard to keep the emotions in check and under control and stay consistent enough to where you can start reeling the pack back in and making yourself a challenger in the race. We're doing it, though. We've taken about a second off of Chad since we turned over on the lap 8. It looks like Connor and David are starting to get bunched up a little bit. We're going to come across for lap 9. This is going to leave us with 2 laps to go. And we have taken our gap on Chad down to about 1.5 seconds. You can hear me just really grabbing gears coming out of that corner. We're trying to keep a lower RPM and maintain traction. Chad ends up throwing it a little too hard into that corner. Scrubs a little bit of speed. We pick up some time on him there. Down to a little over 0.5 second gap on Chad right now. He's going to go kind of wide in that corner. It's going to allow us to maintain our interval with him, pick up a couple tenths of a second. Coming into the final corner here, he's going to take that inside line, try to shut that door on us a little bit on the exit. Had to back off a little bit just to keep it clean, but he got a better run off that corner. So it prevented us from being able to use the switch up on him coming into that left hand. And here he's doing a really good job of keeping that door closed on us, keeping that inside line through that corner too. Coming up in the Cowboy corner, he's going to throw it really hard again. We're going to get into the back end of him there a little bit. He ended up slowing up quite a bit for that corner. That little unintentional bump put us right on his back bumper coming into turn 1. We're going to shoot for the inside line here. He does a really good job of shutting that door on us. We end up clipping the wall. But we're going to get a run at him on the outside here. He makes a little bit of a slip up coming off of that jump. So we were able to maintain our speed and drive around him on the outside. We move into 3rd place, and Connor and David just got into it in the middle of this corner. Both of them are off track. David's coming back on off of pit road. He's going to just about take us out there. Connor's tied up in the telephone pole, so we get around David for 1st place. He's going to try going to the inside. He's going to scrub a little too much speed, and Chad's going to end up getting into him, and that's going to give us the win.